Hi, I'm Kelly, and I'm going to be your nurse tonight. I've been a nurse for 24 years, and I have been witness to many goodbyes between my patients and their families. I have considered this a privilege to be present at such intimate times in other people's lives. Tonight, I want to share with you a story about two significant and Irish goodbyes in my own life, and for you to know what an honor it was for me to be present when my mother died, and the beauty in those moments. It's March 1969, and my dad, Barney, is extremely proud of himself because his 10th child was born with red hair and green eyes on St. Patrick's Day. He was in short order on the front porch with a whiskey in one hand and cigar in the other, standing under a sign that said, "Kelly's here." And the party started. And my parents loved a party, and my mother loved her family and friends, so goodbyes were not quick to come. She could take 30 minutes to leave a party. She had to have that last-minute discussion with my sister Rosie, or that long hug with my brother John, or one of the multitudes of her grandchildren. Mary Kay could make you feel like you were the only person in the world when she looked you in the eye and touched your face. My dad, on the other hand, well, he'd gone out the back door and he was outside waiting for Mom. He was the true Irish goodbye. My dad, he had a bad heart, and growing up he had multiple surgeries, and that left his heart weakened. And in the last several months of his life, he spent mostly housebound and on oxygen. Except for the last night of his life, my brother-in-law was in town, and he took my parents out for dinner. My dad refused to take the oxygen into the restaurant. He was on a salt-restricted diet, so he ordered a big steak with mashed potatoes and a vodka martini with an olive, and he loved it. At the end of this night, my parents did their usual routine, which was to climb into bed with a glass of wine each and discuss their days. In the morning, my mom got up and she went around the bed, and she told me she knew right away that he was gone. So she wiped his face and she kissed his cheek. She called us all home to say goodbye. I was 27 years old. She called me a couple months later. She was pissed. She said, "It was just like your father to go out the back door and not say goodbye to me." 10 years later, Mom met Hank, and they got married. She was 84 years young. And 5 years into this marriage, Hank died. And for my mom, this had to be her last goodbye. Several months later, we took her to my sister Julie's on hospice care for failure to thrive. One morning, I watched her. She was sitting at the dining room table in her robe and slippers with her black coffee and her toast and jam and her newspaper, reading it with a magnifying glass, and big band music, toe tapping under the table. And she would say, "Aren't we the luckiest?" The day she died, I helped the hospice nurse wash her and change her clothes and put fresh sheets on the bed. And her friends and family came in throughout the day and the evening to say goodbye to her. There was a very strange, misty Irish rain outside that night. Inside, there were strange, misty Irish people singing songs and toasting my mom, and everyone left at about 10:30 that night. So I laid down next to her, and I held her hand and touched her face, and I noticed that her skin had gotten very warm, very hot, and her breathing had quickened. And then just as suddenly, her skin got very cold, and her breathing slowed. We told her it was okay to go, that we love her, and her breathing stopped. And I put my head on her chest to listen, but there was no sound. There was this incredible feeling that the universe had cracked open. And my beautiful mother went into that space, for she had finally reached the front door at the end of her Irish goodbye, and this guy was waiting for her. Thank you.